Caution, I'm a hack. I learned everything I know from a guy leaned against a shade tree, having a drink and smoking a cigarette.
Hey, welcome back. Last video, I know we didn't get a lot really accomplished, but this week we're going to do a lot more. I've got a lot planned. So, car still didn't shift good, so I'm going to jack it up. We're going to check and just double, triple check that connector in the transmission's incorrectly. Last time I didn't think about this, but I could actually fit my phone up in there and take a picture of it and make sure it's the pins are turned the right way and make sure it's in good. We're going to do that. It has the thermostat sensor has a high voltage, so it's probably not grounded or something's weird with that. We're going to look at that. It also has a throttle position sensor signal code. I don't know what to do about it yet. We'll look into that. Probably end up, before this video is over, I bet we end up talking to Tech again. We're going to do some things like that. I ordered a bunch of stuff to try to fix this exhaust because it drags on everything. I ended up ordering a new transmission crossmember. This will be the fourth one I've ordered. So maybe this one's better. I did order. It's the Blackheart by Hooker. You'll just wait. It's a lot better. So hopefully we can get all that done. I'd like to get this thing where we can run it and drive it and enjoy it by the end of this week. That's my goal. But I've got 4 or 5 days to work on it. I don't have as much stuff to do other than this car this week, so hopefully we can get it knocked out. Let's get to work. Alright, so I pulled the thermostat wire off. It goes right there. You can see how one of these is taller than the other. That's what I figured. It just pushed that pin back. I'm going to pull this back. I think the prong on it's not been out enough to catch. I'll fix that and just plug it back in. That's nothing. And then I'll look at that throttle position sensor, see if it's the same way or not. It may have other problems, I don't even know, but this is a quick, easy thing to check, so we'll do this first. Alright, so I pulled that apart, pulled that out, got the little tangs straightened out and back together. So I'm going to pop it back in, that'll be done, and then we'll check that throttle position sensor. Alright, so we got the thermostat plugged back in, and we'll be able to check that when we start the car. I don't know. In theory, that should be fine. I unplugged the throttle position sensor. It looks fine. I'm going to plug it back in. I don't know what else to do about it. Maybe it wasn't plugged in good, whatever. But I'm going to plug it back in. Hopefully it'll be okay. If not, we'll have to contact Tech about that. They'll walk us through it and help us. So I'm not worried about it. But the next, I'm going to plug it back in. The next thing I'm going to do is get under the car and check that transmission plug. We're just going to double, triple, quadruple check that it's right. And if it's right, if it's not right, we'll switch it and then take it for a drive. Even if it's right, we'll probably still take it for a drive because I want to see if or start it at least, to see if the thermostat code goes away after we clear it and it doesn't come back. So, all right, I'll plug this in and we'll check the transmission thing. When I was under it with the transmission plug, I don't know. I think it was right the very first time. I think it was wrong when I spun it back around. So I definitely know it's in the right orientation now because I could see it with the camera. We're going to go on and see if we can clearance the right rear wheel well. It's been rubbing, so we'll look at that and see what's up with it. Well, while the girl's in the air, I went ahead and pulled the right rear tire off. It'd been rubbing right here. Well, once I got it off, I realized that the rear end is shifted to the right. When I did the drop Panhard bar relocation kit, it shifted the rear end. I didn't even think about it, but I've got this off. I'm going to go ahead and roll that lip a little more because the wheel's off. Now's the easiest time to do it. I'll throw it back up, and then I'll show y'all how I locate the rear end left to right. It ain't scientific exactly, but it's what I do. And we'll bolt it all back together. Hopefully we can get the rear end off, both sides to stop rubbing. The other side doesn't rub, but it has plenty of clearance right now. So we'll get this done right quick, and I'll show you how to do the Panhard bar, and we'll go from there. Alright, so give us a little more clearance in that wheel well. Just used the BFH, no big deal. It's not even a lot, but it was a little bit. So I'll go ahead and stick this wheel back on and we'll check it, see how far that rear end's out, left to right. I'm pretty sure it's pretty far. Alright, so here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use a 4-foot level. If you have just a stick that'll hit the tire top and bottom, you just mark it whatever. This is what I've got. So this is how I'm going to do it. So you won't be able to see that, but you want to level that, get the level to where it's perfectly up and down. And using a level, you can do that. It's no big deal. It's level. Alright, now we're just going to measure to the front of the tire. This side's a 1/2 inch. I have a feeling the other side's sticking out. So let's go look at it. So here's the passenger side. I'll get the level all set up and level. And it sticks out past the wheel well by a pretty decent amount. Let's see. Almost 1/4 of an inch. So I know I've got to suck it over about, if I take it over 1/4, that should get us about level on both sides, and we'll see how that goes. So there's not much to adjusting it over. Let's go to the jam nut here and here. Just break those free, and you can twist this and move it in or out. And we need to move it to where it's bringing them together. And we'll do that and see if we can get about a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch out of it and go from there. So one of the things you got to remember is, I set that over a 1/4 inch, but you're taking it from both sides, so that's really, you don't need to go that far. So I've got it over some. Let's check it and see where we're at, and it's easy enough just to keep coming down here and doing this until we get it just right. Alright, so we're back on the driver's side again, trying to get y'all a really nice shot. That is up against the body. Hang on, let me get it straight here. There we go. And it's going to be hard to tell. I can't even get a measuring tape really in there, but it's about 3/16 of an inch. Let's go to the other side and check it. And about almost, let me get it level here. Alright. And this side is very close to 3/16 of an inch too. So I'm going to call that good. And let's get this thing on the ground. Now it probably rubs on both sides. Alright, so I got her back down on the ground, torqued the wheel back down, and we should be good to go. We know the transmission is plugged in correctly now, for sure, because I've seen it. I'm going to start this thing up. We'll go for a quick ride. Either it works or it don't. If that doesn't work, we'll call FiTech back, or try to find maybe a wire that's broke or something. It could be a lot of things still. So let's fire it up and see what happens. shifter 7. I don't know what that means. Now we're rubbing the left tire a little bit. No third gear, 36 miles an hour. It's a little low for third though. The shifter thing used to say low too, so. Definitely that left wheel starting to rub. Well, that's no change. Put her back up. Sounds good though. Oh well. So when we got back, I was checking the fault codes, and we no longer had the coolant temp sensor or the throttle position sensor popping up, but we do have a wideband B2. Oh, bank 2. That makes sense. We don't have a bank 2 sensor. We're always going to get that. So we have cleared our other codes as of now, so I think that's good. We just got to figure out. I'm starting to lean towards when I rip that cam position sensor, the wires out of it, I'm starting to think maybe I crushed something else. So the answer may just be to tear all the wiring out, hand inspect it, pin it out, figure it out, make sure everything's good before we go much further. I think that's where our problem is. I don't think it's in the electronics. I really don't. So with that being said, well, it's the end of my day today, and I'll think about it tonight, and maybe tomorrow we'll tear the wiring out. I don't know, maybe we'll see. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so my parts are supposed to start coming in for the exhaust and stuff too. That may not get done this week if we pull the wiring out of this car, so we'll see. Hey, good morning. So yesterday, as y'all saw, that still didn't shift out of second gear, so I called FiTech back again this morning and got right through, no big deal. The guy told me that they wanted me to send the computer into him, and I said that's fine, but I have another one here. I can just test it, and if the other one works, they'll just replace it. So I'm going to switch that out right quick. I also went through the wiring yesterday. The transmission harness does not go behind the engine at all, and I kind of checked all the plugs, And so I don't think it's got a bad wire somewhere. So I'm going to change this computer out. We'll take it for a ride, see what it does. I'll have to reprogram the whole thing again, but that's not a big deal. So we'll see what it does. Hopefully this will fix it. If this fixes it, I can just send them my computer and they'll mail me out another one. It'll be here next week for my buddy's system. Thank goodness I've got his system. It's really made this a lot easier. So yeah, let me throw that one in and see what happens. All right. So I'm sure some of you will remember I just kind of have this thing shoved down this hole, which is fine. We're going to change all this. I'm very unhappy with how I ran it as a permanent solution. So we're going to fix it later. But this is the one that was in mine. I pulled it out. I put the other one in. All we can do now is just take it for a drive after I program it, and we'll see if it fixes it. Hopefully this fixes it. We can just cruise this thing. We'll be done. We'll move on to other things. There's a lot of things I want to do to this car still. I got all the new programs set into the handhelds. Should be able to start this thing. Really needs to idle a little bit before we leave, but we're probably not going to do that. See if she'll fire up, and if we can get her out of the driveway, and just let's see what happens. Fire it up easy. Let's see if we can get it back outside. I'm going to let her idle for just a minute, and then we'll take it out and see if it'll shift. So I went back in the handheld. It still says low 2 for the shifter. I have a feeling this is going to be something inside that transmission at this point. We're running out of things to replace here, so I'm going to set up the large gauges so I can watch it easier as we go, and we'll just take off. We'll see what happens. All right, let's try this. Oh yeah. Third yet, but that's 50 miles an hour, no third gear. Man, this thing is bad though. Yeah, we're back, but it ain't fixed. So I've kind of spent a good portion of my day-to-day thinking about this thing. We're running out of things to really look at and check. I've got this other 4L60 sitting over here on a dolly. Thinking about using the second transmission harness I have, plugging it into this harness and just hooking it up to this transmission and see if it still reads low 2. If it does, maybe it eliminates both of the ones that are in the car, but if it goes away, maybe we narrowed it down some. So I'm going to give that a shot. We'll see how it goes. So here's my ghetto, and I know I can't drive this, but I'm just curious if it'll still show low 2 or not. Yeah, we'll go in there and turn on the ignition and see. I also changed the computer back, put mine back in here while I had the battery unhooked. So let's see what it does. Alright, so got the ignition switch on. Let's see here. Dashboard. Shifter, low 2. Alright then. Current gear 1, that's correct for that transmission. I mean, it's not hooked up, so what on earth could be doing that? Alright. Low 2. Well, it's the next day, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do today, but I did get some stuff in yesterday for the exhaust and the transmission crossmember. I thought we'd open this trans crossmember together and just check it out. I know in the last episode I said I was going to modify the one that was in there, but then I found the Hooker Blackheart transmission crossmember for these cars. And if I'd have seen it originally, I'd have bought it. This is the 4th crossmember I've bought for this car, but only the 2nd I've ever received. So, anyways, let's open it up and take a look. So I don't think it'll be hard for y'all to tell that, hang on here. So, as you can see, it actually basically has provisions for exhaust to pass beside of it. And that's exactly what we needed. So, we probably won't put that in this episode. That's probably the next one. But I wanted to take a look at it and just check it out. And it looks pretty awesome, I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know, it's got a hole there. I don't even know what that's for. But anyways, yeah, I wish I'd ordered this one originally. It's also about $150 more expensive than the others. But nonetheless, here we are. Alright, so I called Vitech back. Talked to Fred. Same guy I've been talking to for a while. I've gotten him several times. He's very knowledgeable. Seems to me that, and him too, I'd already just kind of figured this, but it's not a tuning issue. It's got to be a physical issue. It could be that I crushed a wire or something. I'll have to check all that. I'm going to pull all the wiring out of this car. We're going to redo it anyways. I don't like how I did it. I don't like where the ECU sits. I don't like any of it. But it was fast and dirty and easy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to pull all that out. He sent me a printout in a file for all the transmission stuff. Actually, I think it's the whole PC. I don't know. And with that printout, I can make sure everything's right, make sure all the wires are correct. There's a lot I can do now. I can actually diagnose this thing. Before I didn't have enough information to diagnose it, but I'm going to pull the intake off, pull all the wiring out of this car, and just spend some time looking at it and seeing if I messed something up or if it's mispinned or I mean, I could have messed up the ground wire, or who knows. But I'll get into it, and I'll show y'all what I kind of find when I find it. But this is going to take a while. I just know it is. Hey, I know it's like seems like no time to you, but it's actually been a couple of weeks since I've really done any work on this car. It's been a couple of days. Pulled the intake off. Started pulling the wiring harness. I got sick, and I was already over the car, so it didn't take much for me to be convinced not to work on it. I'm gonna get back on it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest of this harness out and see if we can't find a break in the wire or whatever. I'm gonna tone the whole thing out, and we'll just go from there. Hopefully we can just figure out what's wrong with, probably something in this wiring harness. Just get it back in. I just want to drive this thing. I just want to drive it. So I'm going to get back to work. Well, I got the harness out. Let me show you what I found. I haven't really dug into it, but this is the transmission portion of the wiring loom. Well, let's see here. Here we go. It's definitely pinched right there. I'm gonna pin all this out and make sure that's okay. We're gonna start there. I didn't see anything that just screamed that it was gonna be bad in that harness, so maybe one of these wires, when it got pinched, it breached it. We'll start there. If you're wondering how I'm gonna get these pins in here, I just have a paper clip. Should be able to put them right in there. And then find the corresponding side, voltmeter, turn it over to alarm, and then we'll just boom, and then pin out the other side till we find it. Hopefully it'll be that easy, but it probably won't be. See, there's one. That wire's good. So I'm just going to go through. I have the pin out that Phytech sent me. I'm going to check every one of the wires, make sure everything is good. And if I find anything, I'll show you. Well, I've spent a couple hours trying to figure out what's up here. The sub harness that goes to the transmission from the main harness, where it was kind of crimped together there, it's fine. I pinned all that out. Everything's in the right location. Everything's just like it's supposed to be. But I did find something wrong, and I've already contacted Phytech, and they're supposed to be sending me an email to fill out to get another harness. But let me show you what's up. All right, well, it's a good time when you get all the wires out. But here's what we've got. So I went through and used the pin-out diagram, and basically it calls for wire 1, which is that green wire right there. That's shift solenoid 1. When shift solenoid 1 pins out, it pins out correctly to where it's supposed to go. The next wire actually is supposedly not used, but it's in there. And then the next wire over is shift solenoid 2, and it's actually supposed to be a yellow wire. That's a brown wire. No big deal. Don't care what color it is, but it does not pin out to the right location. It actually pins out on the back side. It's that wire right there. And then the next one over, I think, is the orange wire, which actually pins out, is that white wire right there. Pins out that location. I've called Phytech. They've already, I've already filled out the information, so they're going to send me another one. It's just pinned wrong. So, boy, that's a whole lot of effort for, a pinned, a wrongly pinned connector, but whatever. All we can do is fix it. Well, I think we've got her all figured out now. Phytech will get us this new harness sent out. Should have it in about a week and a half. That's how long it took to get the handheld in that I had to get from them. So I expect about the same turnaround. There's plenty to do still. I've got this new crossmember. I'd like to get it in. We'll get the exhaust cut out and put back in and gain some ground clearance. This thing has no ground clearance, so that should get us 2 to 3 more inches of ground clearance, which will be plenty. So we'll get that done in the next video. I'm sure we'll do other stuff too. But anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.